Okay, gentlemen. Erev Shabbat Shalom. So, tonight we are very lucky. Some of you might know that we are now in the period called Shovavim. Shovavim. Lun Nishmat. Roma Chaim. Ben Shana.
This is sponsored by
Baruch Hashem Tenahinu Megan Aiden.
Asher Sadikpur, Lilu Nishmat, his grandfather, Amir ben Asher HaKohen.
Amir ben Asher HaKohen. Baruch Hashem Tenahinu Megan Aiden. So we are in the period called Shovavim. Shovavim is known throughout history to be a time where we fix certain avirot, certain sins, specifically by what's called Tikkun Habrit. It's called Shovavim because it's actually Rosh Tevot, Shemot ve'era, Bo b'shalach, ve'yetro Mishpatim. And this week is the last week. That's what the Mem stands for. That's Shovavim. That's the Mem, Shoftim, Mishpatim. So our rabbis tell us that out of all the weeks of the Shovavim, out of the 6 weeks period that we have, the last week is the most chashuv, is the most important. Not only that, but the 6th day of the 6th week is the most important of them all. So that we would call that Shishi Bashishi. It's the 6th day. No, that's tonight actually. That's tonight. It's right now. Therefore, I felt it important. I felt it compelling that we give some sort of a takeaway that a person could take with him, a lesson that we could learn throughout the 6 weeks in order to take through the whole year. It's a well-known thing. It's not just Api Kabbalah these 6 weeks. Even the great Rishonim, Tumat Hadeshin talks about Shovavim. The Leket Yosher, which is his student, talks about the Shovavim. So it's well documented, not only in Sifrei Kabbalah, but also in Sifrei Halacha as well. That these days are of utmost importance in order to be Shomer, Tikkun Habrit, Tikkun Einayim, Tikkun Machshaba. Therefore, like I said, I thought it important that we give some practical advice on what to do during these times for it to last us throughout the entire year. So we start. Rabotai, we start. Source number 1 from this week's Parsha, Parshat Mishpatim. Says the pasuk, "V'chi yazid ish al re'ehu," that if a person schemes, yazid means if he schemes against his friend, lehorgo be'orma, to kill him in cunningness, in a very sly way. Me'im mizbechei tekechenu, you're going to take him to the mizbeach lamut, in order to kill him, in order to die. This pasuk is missing contents. What are we talking about? Says Rashi on the spot. V'chi yazid. What does it mean that a person schemes? Says Rashi, Lama ne'emar. Why do you have to tell me this whole deen of scheming to kill somebody? We already know later on that the Torah talks about if a person is killing somebody. Therefore, what is this pasuk coming to tell me? That he schemed against him. How did I know? Much later on, says Rashi, Shome'ani afilu goy. I might think to say that even if I killed a goy, let's say in the case where somebody kills a goy, is he also going to be hayat mitah by the mizbeach? Or says Rashi, v'rofeh she'emit. Let's say you have a doctor, and the doctor was performing surgery on somebody, and God forbid he didn't wash his hands well, and therefore the patient contracted a disease from under the doctor's fingernails. We call that negligence, exactly. And the doctor kills the patient. Not only that, says Rashi, Ushlach Beit Din she'emit b'malkut arba'im. Let's say you have Beit Din. Beit Din was posek on somebody. This guy is higher malkut, and I guess they measured wrong, and this guy could only handle, let's say, 18 makot. That was his maximum. And as the Sheikh Beit Din is whipping him, he gave him one more than he was supposed to, and he ends up killing him. Another example, says Rashi, Ve'av maket beno. A father, he's hitting his child in order to give him rebuke, and he ends up killing him. Barminan. Ve'harav harodeh talmido, or a rabbi. In the middle of the students talking in the middle of the class, smacks him a little too hard and kills the student. V'hashogeg. Anybody that's shogeg, a person chopping down a tree inside the forest, and accidentally his momentum was too strong, the axe ends up falling off the stick, and he kills somebody. All these cases, I might think to say that you're going to take him, that you have to take this guy, the Rofeh that killed by accident, the Shlach Beit Din that killed by accident, the father and the rabbi that killed by accident. In these cases, do I think I'm going to have to take him? Says Rashi, Tamud Lomar v'chi yazid. It has to be specifically where the guy is scheming to kill. It has to be on purpose. Where the guy had a plan. He wrote it out. I'm going to kill this guy and have written on a piece of paper how I'm going to do it. And therefore, says Rashi, Velo shogeg. It has to be specifically that he didn't kill him by accident. It has to be on purpose that Rashi says that you take this guy me'imis b'chi tekachenu lamut. Not only that, says Rashi, al re'ehu. The pasuk says it has to be, you have to be killing your friend. What does your friend mean, says Rashi? Velo ala goy. If you killed a goy in any of these ways, if you planned, if you schemed to kill a goy, that's not considered hayamita. It has to be with the cunning. You have to kill him in a very sly type of fashion. Below shlach beitin, and not only a shlach beitin that kills, he didn't do so in a cunning fashion. He didn't do so in a sly type of way. Verofeh, and not only that, a doctor, like we said, his negligence he wasn't planning. He didn't do it in a sly type of fashion. Verodeh beno v'talmido, person who's hitting his child, they're hitting his student. This wasn't considered be'orma. It wasn't considered in cunningness that he has to die. She'afa pishem mizidin, even though these cases where the father hits the student or the rabbi hits the student, it's considered a case of mezid, ein ma'animin. It's not considered a case of horma. It's not considered a case of on purpose. Therefore, says Rashi, in this case, you're not going to kill the guy. That's the perush of Rashi. Is that clear, everybody?
Yes.
There's another pshat of the Hatam Sofer. I'll tell it to you outside before we read it inside. Says the Hatam Sofer as follows: that this guy who kills be'orma with cunningness and he schemes against somebody, he's going to try to get out of it. He's going to try to get out of being hayab mita. So what does he say? There's a law in Judaism that says that if a person is, let's say, Bar Minan, he has an illness and he's going to die anyway. Let's say Bar Minan, he goes to the doctor. The doctor's telling him, listen, you have something, you have a growth over there, Bar Minan, and you have less than a year to go. And let's say somebody comes along and takes out a gun and shoots that patient. According to Jewish law, he's not hayab mita. Why? Because since he killed somebody that was already going to die, therefore, says the rabbis, it's not considered. You didn't kill somebody that's considered alive, and therefore you're not hayab mita.
How every second counts.
Hold on a second. No, you're right. You definitely took away the guy's life, and therefore you're going to be punished for it. But we're not going to take you to the mizbeach in order to kill him.
From Beit.
Yeah, 100%. He's hayab mita midei shamayim, but hayab mita from beitin, he's not going to die.
I just did this last night. Second parak of Makot. It starts with shogeg.
Very good. Not only that, but let's say you have a guy. He's on death row. On death row, beitin was posek. This guy, we're going to throw him off the building in another week time. Right. And before that time came along, you took a gun, you shot him, and you killed him. Says the Gemara, this guy's not hayab mita. At least by beitin, by court. Why? Because since you killed a guy that's on death row, it's considered, as we say in America, that's the guy's the dead man walking.
Dead duck.
Exactly. Since he's dead man walking, whatever you killed is going to be patur. Therefore, says this guy who killed his friend, he's saying, listen, what guarantee do you have? You're right, I killed the guy, I killed him, I schemed, I planned, I had a whole plan, I wrote it out, I went to his house, he was sleeping, the whole 9 yards. But who says this guy was going to live? Maybe he was a guy that has a mum. Let's say he had an internal mum in his brain, and for the fact that I killed him, maybe he was already a dead man walking. Is that a good claim? That's not a claim at all. Because we have a rule. What's the rule? Aryeh harabim lahatot. You go after the majority. Majority of people, are they sick? No, Baruch Hashem not. Most people are healthy. And therefore, since we go after the majority, you cannot come along and claim that the guy that I killed had some sort of internal infection that was going to kill him anyway. No. This guy was considered alive 100%. What do we learn this from, by the way? A korban. Let's say a guy comes along, he brings a korban on the mizbeach. Who's to guarantee that this korban didn't have some sort of internal mum? We don't X-ray the animal before we bring him the mizbeach. No, as long as you check the animal on the outside, if there's no cuts, if there's no blemishes, the animal is considered kasher to go on the mizbeach. But you're telling me maybe he has an internal mum, maybe he has some sort of hole in his brain that is going to make him pasul for the mizbeach, and therefore it's considered bringing something that's mum on the mizbeach, which is asur. Says they go, no. We go after the majority, and since the majority of animals do not have an internal blemish, therefore it's going to be okay. You understand what I'm saying? We can read that inside. Says the Hatam Sofer, Mi mizbechi tikhenu lamut. Yesh faresh. Api ma she'itma b'gemara and chulin daf yud aleph. Deha da'amur rabbanan da'azlina batar ro. We always go after the majority. So ati meresha shel olah v'shor korbanot tinichush dilma terefahi. Maybe I'm going to say that when I brought the korban on the mizbeach, maybe he was a terefa, maybe he had some sort of internal blemish, and therefore the fact that I brought the korban on the mizbeach, Chaburah terefa, which is asur. Says Hatam Sofer, no, da'azle batar rov korbanot. Rove animals do not have blemishes. Therefore, when I bring them on the mizbeach, it's considered as if I brought a kasher. Kasher is considered okay. And therefore, it says Hatam Sofer, "Vekevan demuchach de'azim batar rov." Since I know from this Gemara that we go after the rov, memeila katlin laharotzeach. We killed this rotzeach that killed his friend. Why? Says Hatam Sofer, "Velo haishinan." We don't think dilma terefa harag. Maybe the guy that he killed was also considered terefa. Maybe the guy that he killed had some sort of internal blemish. No, absolutely not. Since this guy came along and he schemed against his friend, how did he do it? He came so with cunningness. He wanted to be sly. What was his claim? Oh, this guy's Tarefa, the guy that I killed, he's already hayab mita. He was going to die anyway, therefore why should you kill me? Says He's going to come along and claim that I killed the Tarefa. Therefore, who says you have to take me to the Mizbeach and kill me? Says the Khatam Sofer. Al-Ze Amar, no. Mi'im Mizberchi. We're going to take him dafka where? To the Mizbeach. And we're going to say, no, Habibi, you have to learn from the Mizbeach. Ma Mizbeach, when we bring korbanot on it, we assume that we go after the rove, and most korbanot are considered kasher. So to the fact that you kill the guy, you kill the kasher. That's why we specifically take him, says the Pasuk, Mi'im Mizberchi Tikahenu. We take him to the Mizbeach to say that your disproof that this guy's the Tarefa is from the Mizbeach. Man in the Mizbeach, we only go after the rove, and therefore the korbanot are kasher. So to the guy that you killed, he's considered a kasher. Therefore says the Khatam Sofer, Shetziviti lahakriv al menat tekahenu talmud mimenu lamut shehaya mita. Therefore says the Khatam Sofer, we know from here this guy's going to be hayab mita. Clear, Khatam Sofer? Okay, Rabotai. So until this point, we at least we explored a bit of the Peshat of the Pasuk. B'shutchem, I want to go.
Why do we take him to the Mizbeach? Just to say because Mizbeach proved that all animals are mainly kosher?
Correct. According to Khatam Sofer, yes, correct. We'll get there. Oh, so we take him there in order to die. That's where we kill him. We kill him by the Mizbeach. Okay, Rabotai. So we got the Peshat a little bit. Now we could explore the remez. We could explore the deeper explanation. Look at source number 3. There's a rabbi called Avodat Yisrael. He says as follows: Be'efshar lefi zeh lefaresh hapasuk zeh. He's going to explain the pasuk. I'm looking inside. V'chi hazir ish. Source number 3. Who's the ish in this situation? Who's the guy that's planning against his friend? It says Avodat Yisrael hayetzer hara. Oh, that's the remez. The remez in this pasuk that the man that's planning to kill his friend is in reference to the yetzer hara. Al-Re'ehu. So who is he planning to kill against? Says the Avodat Yisrael, Hu Yetzer HaTov. He's planning to kill the Yetzer HaTov. Shehem yachdav bilbo shel adam. You have two yetzes inside a person's heart. Remember in the old cartoons, you had the devil angel on the right or the left, and you had with the halo, the other angel dressed in white on the other shoulder. They got it from here, by the way. That you have a Yetzer Hara that's inside your body. It's two. You have a Yetzer HaTov inside your heart, and you have a Yetzer Hara inside your heart. And the Yetzer Hara is always trying to fight against his Yetzer HaTov. How does he do so? So says Avodat Yisrael, l'horgo be'orma. He tries to kill the Yetzer HaTov be'orma, with cunningness. What's the cunningness? Says Avodat Yisrael, be'machshavot aromimiot v'chozevet. He tries to bring inside a person's mind improper thoughts. When the Yetzer Hara succeeds to bring improper thoughts inside a person's mind, that's how he kills a person Yetzer HaTov. So how are we going to prevent the Yetzer Hara to bring improper thoughts in a person's mind? What do I mean by improper thoughts? Promiscuity, infidelity, you get my point. And therefore, in order to stop the Yetzer Hara to bring improper thoughts inside a person's mind, we have to take him me'im and bitzbechit tikahenu. Says the Avodat Yisrael dehayinu hasugula lomar hapasuk. It's a sugula to say this pasuk when a person has an improper thought that's planted in his mind. How does he get the thought out? Says Avodat Yisrael, you say the pasuk eish tamid tukat ala mizbeach. Now you understand a little bit. Why do you bring specifically a pasuk of mizbeach? Because this is a segula. The segula, when a person has a bad thought enter his mind, he has to say the pasuk over and over again. Eish tamid tukat ala mizbeach. How does he know this from? It's actually a Moshe Cordovero. Says the next paragraph. The Arizal, he gave a remez. He says, the Ramak was Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, one of the great Kabbalists of Tzfat. And says the Arizal that he had written in his Sidur from the Ramak that he got a Kabbalah from Eliyahu Hanavi that says what? Levatel machshava zara. In order to dispel any bad thoughts in a person's mind, lomar pasuk eish tamid tukad al mizbeach. You say this pasuk over and over again. Eish tamid tukad al mizbeach. Eish tamid tukad al mizbeach. It has the power to get any bad thoughts out of a person's mind. How does he know this? It's b'met hashla. Look at the next source number 4. Shlach Kadosh, B'Shem HaMekubal, Elaki, Rabbi Moshe Kodeveru, Matzati Katav, Yad Shel Elaki, Rabbi Moshe Kodeveru, Shekatav V'Zeh Lo Sheno, Labani Zaken Echad, I learned from one older man, L'Batel HaMachshava, in order to get rid of bad thoughts in a person's mind, Yomer HaPasuk Zeh Harbe Pa'amim. He quotes the entire pasuk, but really it's the end that his focus is on. You have a fire that's lit on the mizbeach. Lo tichbe. This fire can never go out. That the kohen has to clean off the wood. Baboker, every single morning. And this mizbeach, this korban, exactly. This very good. This korban is specifically in reference to the korban of olah. He brings on the pieces, the fats of the chalav shlamim. And what's the pasuk? Eish tamid tukad al mizbeach. Be'enai pashut, says the Shlach Kadosh. It's in my mind simple. Shezaken haya Eryeh Navi. This zaken that taught the Ramaktis was indeed Eryeh Navi. V'larov anvuto, because he was so humble. Shel harav lo ratzal lagalot. He didn't want to reveal it exactly. Therefore, he's giving very practical advice. By the way, unfortunately, improper thoughts are everywhere. It's on the city on the way to work. It's at work. It's with the secretaries. It's at the mall. It's on social media. It's non-stop. Improper thoughts are everywhere. And therefore, if a person wants to combat improper thoughts, which is the tikkun of Shovavim, which we're in the last week, Shishi Bashishi, says the Ramak, when a person has improper thoughts coming inside his head, he should say the pasuk, Eish Tami Tukad Al Mizbeach. Saying these words, it has the power to dispel these improper thoughts. My question is, Rabotai, what type of sigula is this? Is it just like we learned, you want to know what it means? Eish tukad tamid al mizbeach. That the fire should always be lit, always. Tamid al mizbeach. The fire should be lit on the mizbeach always. So my question is this just a segula like we learned with the red string segula? When a person goes to Kevarahel, he pays the lady outside a couple of shekel, and he gets a red string. She tells you it's segula. Segula for what? Segula for everything, by the way. Segula for everything, okay? Whatever you want, exactly. So the question is this another red string segula that a person wears on his wrist, and then from then on, yeah, you're right, I just say the pasuk, I say Mishpat, and there goes the bad thoughts, or is there something much deeper? On the surface, by the way, it looks like a regular segula. When a person having a bad thought, say the pasuk, you'll be good. But I want to know the depth. What's the depth of it? Just incidentally, by the way, this pasuk is specifically by the korban olah, like I explained. The eish tamid tukal al mizbeach was specifically said by the korban called the korban olah. Why specifically by the korban olah? So look at the next source number 5. Midrash Rabbi says the Midrash. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai le'olam. Ein ha'olah ba'a. The reason why a person is mihayev, he's obligated to bring a korban olah, is because ela al harhihud halev. The reason why a person is obligated to bring a korban olah is because he has improper thoughts. Therefore, it's matim. It fits why this pasuk was specifically said by the korban olah, and why the segula was said by the korban olah. Because since a person is obligated to bring korban olah because of his improper thoughts, therefore he has to say this short mishpat, this short pasuk, and therefore it's going to dispel the entire situation. What?
Maybe I missed it. What does that mean? You don't bring you bring a korban olah for every time you have it's not the halakha, obviously.
Yeah, according to Midrash, the reason why a person brings, I guess it means that you had an improper thought and maybe that thought came to fruition. Maybe it could be.
Korban olah.
Well, it could be for a few things. The Nazir brings a korban olah. There's a few examples, but you're right. But according to the Midrash, the reason why a person would bring a korban olah is because he had an improper thought. Therefore, it's matim that this pasuk is having to do with the korban olah. So Rabotai, again, what is the depth behind this segula? Says the Zohar in source number 6. Look at the Zohar, Parshat Tzav. Eish tamid tukar al mizbeach. Zu Torah. Oh, there you go. So this Eish tamid, that's in reference to the pasuk, is not referring to a regular fire that's on the mizbeach. The fire that's in reference is the fire of Torah HaKadusha. And therefore, what says the Zohar? That the words is considered fire in front of the words of the Torah, considered fire in front of Hashem. Lo tichbe. This fire can never go out. Huh? Oh, so we'll see it now. No, lo tichbe. Vadai ki avira ina mechabered Torah. The person that's over in avira, it's not gonna put out the fire of Torah. Umitzvat Torah shemikayimim otan rabbanan. Torah hi etzlam yomam valayla lo tichbe alehem. This Torah that we have an obligation. V'hagita bo yomam valayla. That's in reference to this Eish al Mizbeach to Karbo. That when it says that a person has to have fire on the Mizbeach that has to be always lit, it's in reference to the person's learning Torah that has to learn every single day, day and night. Mishum shemekayim ba v'agita bo yomam v'layla v'ashan sholam b'pihem midavrei Torah. This ashan, this smoke that comes out of the rabbi's mouth as he's learning, Torah hi ashan ma'aracha ba. It's considered as if the ashan that's on the mizbeach itself. Therefore, just like by the ashan, when the smoke of the korban goes up to Hashem, and what does the pasuk say? Reach nichoach yishel Hashem. That Hashem gets tremendous pleasure from this type of smoke. So too, the smoke or the hevel, the vapor, thank you, that comes out of the words of the people that are learning Torah, what we're doing tonight right now, it gives tremendous reach nichoach. It gives tremendous pleasure to Hashem. It's as if we brought a korban on the mizbeach. Therefore, according to the Zohar, it's not a regular segula. It's not a red string segula, by the way. Just when a person has an improper thought, he should say the pasuk ish tamit tukara mizbeach. No, says the Zohar. You have to do something about it. That it's not enough just to have an improper thought and just say ish tukad. No, you have to accompany this pasuk with what it's talking about. Just like this pasuk is a reference to actual learning, therefore a person has to actually do some learning, and therefore he himself, again, Rabotai, he becomes a virtual mizbeach. When he's learning Torah, he becomes a virtual mizbeach. You chap? And therefore when he's learning Torah on it, exactly, he puts the korban on the mizbeach, and that smoke goes up to Hashem. What's the Zohar source? Look at the Zohar source. In source number 7, Gemara Sanhedrin, says the Gemara, Kol hazoveach et yitzro mitvadeh alav. Anybody that slaughters his yetzer, anybody that kills his yetzer hara, how does he do that? It says Maharsha, shikovesh et yitzro lahaba mitvadeh l'shavar, meaning to say that he overpowers his yetzer, and then he asks for forgiveness on what he's done in the past. It's as if he honored God in two worlds. Olam hazeh, olam haba. And therefore it says, Zoveach todah yechabedani. And therefore, according to the Zohar, again, what is the guy doing? He's taking his yetzer, again, according to what we just learned, according to the Zohar, according to the Gemara, when a person takes his yetzer and he puts it on his own virtual mizbeach and he slaughters it, what is he doing? He's doing two things. Number one, he's taking the yetzer hara and he's slaughtering it. And how is he slaughtering it? By use of his Torah. Again, he's burning his yetzer hara on his own virtual mizbeach, and with this yetzer hara, the smoke goes up to Hashem. So the question is, Rabotai, how does a person slaughter his yetzer hara? Well, what's the answer, Morty? Yeah, exactly, very good. How do I know this? It's in Furash. It's in Furash Gemara Kiddushin. Says the Gemara Daf Lamed. Kach Hakadosh Baruch Hu Amar Lehem Yisrael Banai Barati Yetzer Hara Ubarati Torah Tebalin. Well, I don't know about that, but if you think about it, Rabotai, if I have a doctor who created a disease, and he comes along and he tells you, I know exactly how to fix the disease. Are you going to listen to the doctor, or are you going to listen to somebody else who has no idea what the disease is? If I built a car, a guy builds a Lexus, all of a sudden there's something wrong with the Lexus, is he going to go to the guy across the street selling hamburgers and you're going to ask him, how do I fix my Lexus? Absolutely, it wouldn't make any sense to do that, because you have to go to the manufacturer of the car to fix it. God, so to speak, is the manufacturer of the yetzer hara. He knows exactly how he created it. Therefore, if he's telling us, this is how you fix the yetzer hara, this is the way to overcome your yetzer hara, this is what you have to do, therefore you better go do it. It wouldn't make sense to go to something else that's considered synthetic in order to fix the yetzer hara that's inside of us. If a person has a certain urge, if a person has a certain thing that he's drawn to, and he goes to all types of therapists, I need help, I feel something missing in my life. And therapists will tell you, well, first, he'll take $500 from you, and he's going to tell you, listen, this $500 is for today's session. Now we have to set up the next 10 sessions in order for me to figure out what's wrong with you. And then after I figure out what's wrong with you, we need to spend another 10 sessions on how we're going to fix it. And then another 10 sessions after that, figure out how you're going to pay me for all this this payment plan, about how much I'm charging you.
Your financial struggle.
Exactly, very good. Your financial struggle is very good. But if a person just knows, listen, it's a yetzer hara. Whatever a person's struggling with, it must be his yetzer. Therefore, you have to go to the manufacturer. The person who made the yetzer is telling you, the only way to beat the yetzer is through Torah. Barati, yetzer hara, barati, Torah tevalin. If I want to fix my Lexus, I'm not going to go to the guy flipping hamburgers at McDonald's. Doesn't make any sense. You have to go to the guy who made the Lexus. And therefore, God made the yetzer. And he's telling you, the only way to fix it is Torah tevalin. Go to the Torah and go learn it, and by that you'll fix it. Says the Gemara Kiddushin, if a person learns Torah well, then you're not going to be given over in his hands. But if you don't learn the Torah, you're going to go to something synthetic. You're going to go to the McDonald's guy to fix your Lexus. You're going to be put into his hands. And therefore, that's the kavanah of the Zohar. When the Zohar said that a person has to learn Torah Yomam Valayla, and with this Torah, the ish, the ma'aracha, the smoke will go up to God. What he's really telling you is that you're going to take your own yetzer hara by learning Torah itself. you're going to put the Yetzer Hara on the virtual Mizbeach, which is considered yourself, and you're going to slaughter him on the Mizbeach. And therefore, this pasuk of Eish Tamid Tukal Mizbeach is not a red string. It's not something fancy. It's not something that he was telling you that's a nice thing to do. He's telling you have to put it into fruition. We have to go. We have to physically sit down in the class, physically take a Havruta, physically take a book. If a person wants to overcome his Yetzer, only way to do. And therefore, Machshava Ra'ah, because he has a bad thought, the only way to get rid of it is by learning Torah. How do I know this, by the way? How do I know that Torah and Machshava are connected? Look at the Rambam. Rambam says in source number 9, Hilchot Isurei Biyah, Eitzah Nifla'ah, I'll give you a great advice. How do you protect yourself from negative, from inappropriate thoughts? Says the Rambam, Yetera Gedula Mikol Zot Amru. The greatest advice a person could give you, Yifne Atzmo Umachshavto L'Divrei Torah. If a person's mind is empty, then all the bad thoughts are going to come in. But if a person's mind is full, then there's nothing there. There's no room to fit. Lamashal. If a person is starving, a person is hungry, he'll eat anything. By the way, anything. That's why it's the worst eitzah to go shopping for food while you're hungry. You end up with the bill $600 when your bill is usually $200. You say, how do I get all this food in my cart? Because you were hungry, and therefore, no matter what it was, you just kind of took it, put it inside of your cart. But person is full. He's not hungry. Then even if you offer him the most delicious donut, he's not going to eat it because, hello, I'm full. When it comes to Machshavot Arot, it's the same exact thing. If your mind is occupied, if your mind is full, and dafka full with Torah HaKdosha, then no matter what negative thought goes inside, it's never going to go inside. You're hitting a brick wall because the mind is already considered full. A person might think to himself that maybe my mind is parv, that I might not have Torah, but I don't have inappropriate thoughts. That's not my thing. My mind is parv. Says the Torah, no. We learn by Yosef HaTzadik, Maim Ein Bo, right? Haborek Ein Bo Maim. When a person's bored, when a person's pit is considered rek, Ein Bo Maim, and Ein Maim Ela Torah. When it comes to water, is inaglis to Torah Kedusha. Therefore, I might think to say that Haborek, that if the pit of the mind is empty, Ein Bo Maim. You're right, but it's like he said. She says, Maim Ein Bo. Nachashim akrabim yeshbo. When there's no Torah inside of it, exactly. When there's no Torah, it's not like, oh, there's no Torah, therefore it's parv. No. If there's no Torah, nashim akrabim yeshbo. You can have everything else that's inside of it instead. Therefore, it says that Rambam. How do I know? What?
Doesn't that contradict with Sukkah?
Why?
Where it says, whatever the phrase is, the greater you are, the bigger your Yetzer Hara is. I don't know if that's the exact phrase.
Right. If the void of what is missing, the Yetzer Hara will be much greater.
We're talking about
the greater you are in Torah.
We're talking about bad thoughts right now.
Okay.
So a person has bad thoughts. The reason why he has bad thoughts is because his mind is void of Torah. That's the only way. That's the only way to explain it. And therefore says the Rambam. I'm continuing the Rambam. V'yarchiv dat b'chokhmah. In order to fix that, a person has to widen his scope with chokhmah. Shein machshevet arayot mitgaberet ela belev panui min hachokhmah. The only reason why a person has improper thoughts in his mind, machshavot arayot, illicit relations, is because his mind is void of chokhmah. Therefore, it's a very easy eitzah. It's a very easy something to accomplish. When a person is having improper thoughts, the only reason was because he's wasting his time. Instead of like we spoke of this many times, Rabotai, we have so much time that's inside during the day, and so much time is considered wasted. We're driving in the car. We could be driving for an hour or even less, even 10 minutes. Wouldn't it make more sense, instead of having 10 wins on the news or listening to some sort of song, put on, even if you're not going to get the whole class, even if you're not going to get the entire from A to B or A to Z, at least you'll get 10 minutes. That's considered something. And therefore, you're constantly filling your mind with chokhmah instead of having occupied by something else. I always get frustrated by NCSYers. They come to me and say, Rabbi, how do I protect myself from negative thoughts and having to go to the mikveh the next morning? I tell them, Rabotai, the answer is because you're wasting your time. Instead of, before you go to sleep at night, you go to sleep 11, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, what are you doing? The answer is, well, I'm on the phone. What are you doing on the phone? What else are they doing on the phone? And therefore, exactly, they're wasting time on the phone. Instead of, before you go to sleep at night, take a sefer, take a Mishnah, take a Ben Ish Chai, take anything, read a Kabbalah halachot, and then go to sleep. Because otherwise, if he doesn't do this, then all of a sudden his mind is empty, and then while he sleeps, his mind goes all around the dark web. And by the time he wakes up in the morning, it's time to go to the mikveh. And therefore the rabbis tell us, in Eitzah Tova, the only way to protect yourself from machshavot ra'ot is to fill the void. Once we fill the void, once we protect ourselves with that void, says the Rambam, once you get that full, it's like food. When a person's full, he doesn't want the Krispy Kreme donut anymore. He's full, he doesn't want it. When a person's mind is full, there will be no room for machshavot ra'ot. It doesn't go inside. It's dead in its tracks. According to Rambam, it stops and begins at that point. Is that clear, Rabotai? Now, with your permission, I want to go just one step further. Just incidentally, look at the Reshit Chokhmah for a second. Look at the Magid Mishnah in source number 10. What is the Rambam's mikor for his knowledge? Hu begemra kiddushin. Tana de Rabbi Ishmael. Im paga b'cha minuval zeh. If this yetzara, if he meets you, mashchehu lebeit midrash. Then you have to pull him inside the beit midrash. Im evenhu. If the yetzara is a rock, nimoach, then he melts. Im barzerhu mitpotzetz. If he's barzel, then he explodes. Therefore, says the Reshit Chokhmah, source number 11, Shaare Kedusha, Hakavana bazeh. What does the Rambam mean when he says this? Ki b'zchut esak Torah balayla lefnei hashayna. The zchut, in the merit of a person learning Torah before he goes to sleep at night, zochim lishmira balayla. He gets a zechut to have protection in the middle of the night. Linatzel me'esh hata'ava shel yetzer hara. Incredible that he's saved from the fire of desire of the yetzer hara. כמו שדרשו בגמרא, מיdrash שכתוב, ונשמעתם מכל דברה. מכאן אמרו, רבי פנחס בן יאיר, אל ירהר אדם ביום. Person should not have bad thoughts in the day, ויבוא לידי טומאת קרי בלילה. He's going to come to have an emission at night. Therefore, the only way, so there's to protect yourself, like I said, before you go to sleep, no matter what time it is, instead of opening up your phone, instead of going on YouTube, take a sefer. Says the Reshit Chokhmah, you have a sigula, you're protecting that throughout the entire night. How much would you pay to have an alarm system set up in your house? $30 a month, $40 a month, not including the $200 installation. Says the Reshit Chokhmah, I have a sigula for you. You want to be protected throughout the night? Very simple. Take a sefer. Sefer will cost you $5 in the bookstore. Learn halachot at night and before you go to sleep, and you're protected. Your mind and your body is considered protected at that point. And therefore, why would you waste your money on something that's considered synthetic? You have a sigula from the Reshit Chokhmah. He's telling you what to do in order to be protected. And by the way, this explains why dafka was this pasuk, this sigula of ish tamid takur al mizbeach was written by the korban olah. It's because what do we learn? Why does a person become obligated in korban olah? Because of hiruim ra'im, because he has improper thoughts. Therefore, according to the Reshit Chokhmah, we could explain, in order for a person not to be obligated in a korban olah, in order to not to make himself mehayev in the korban olah, he has to learn Torah. By learning Torah, you protect yourself from the korban olah, from the hiruim ra'im, and therefore you do not become obligated in order to bring the korban olah the next morning. Is that clear, Rabotai? Okay, we go deeper. Hold on to your seatbelts, Rabotai. Source number 12. Gemara Shabbat. Shochet. Mishumai mehayev. Okay, we have 39 melachot. We know this. Kotzer, ma'amer, dash, borer. All these melachot that we learn on Wednesday night. When a person takes an animal on Shabbat and he slaughters it, which melacha is he over? What sin did he make when he slaughtered an animal on Shabbat? Is that a melacha?
I looked ahead. I looked ahead, so I don't want to say that one.
Very good. Sources in front of you. But if you had to guess, well, the answer is, says the Gemara, Rava ma mishum toveya. When a person slaughters an animal on Shabbat, the thing is that when he slaughtered the neck, blood came out. And when blood came out, it colored the hide of the animal. The skin of the animal became red. You had a beautiful white cow. When he slaughtered the cow, or a white sheep, the blood of the sheep spilled onto the coat and it became dyed. D-Y, dying. What?
On its own coat?
On its own coat, exactly, on its own coat. When you slaughtered it, the blood came out and you dyed the skin of the animal, you dyed the hide of the animal. That's a simple interpretation of the Gemara. However, says Tosfot in the very next source, number 13. HaTosfot dibor matich shochet. Says Tosfot, we're not talking about a regular type of shochet. We're not talking about a regular animal over here. Says Tosfot, shochet, ashochet de alma ka'eh. This Gemara is in reference to the shochet of the world. Who's the shochet of the world? Who wants to kill everybody? The Yetzer Hara wants to kill everybody. He wants to remove you ben ba'alam hazeh, ben ba'alam haba. Yetzer Hara doesn't have any non-guilty intentions. His intentions are malicious. He wants to kill you from this world and the next world. Therefore, he's considered the shochet of the world. Therefore, says the Gemara, "Shochet mishum ma'im hayev." Why is the shochet? Why is the Yetzer Hara? Why is he considered hayav? Turn the page. Says the Gemara. Incidentally, midah kereg midah. Just like the Yetzer Hara, he wanted to shecht you in this world. Therefore, how does God punish him in the future? Since he was the shochet of this world, Latid lavo, when Mashiach comes, God is going to have to punish him measure for measure. We're going to have to kill him in the same fashion. It says the Gemara in Sukkah, that's source number 14. Latid lavo, mevi'o hakadosh baruch hu le'etzara v'shochato. Just because the Yetzara was shechting us in this world, Hashem, when Mashiach comes, will shech the Yetzara. Midah keneged midah. But the rabbis have a problem with this. What's the problem? Why is the Yetzara hayav? Exactly. He's doing his job at the end of the day. If a person he gets a job, you're going to be a courier on 47th Street. You have to bring the jewelry from point A to point B. Imagine you have a courier. He brings the jewelry. He gives it to the guy. The guy says, "Thank you very much." He takes out a gun and blows him away. Oh, what do I do? Why are you shooting at me? I'm just a shaliach. I'm doing my job. Imagine you have a factory worker. At the end of 50 years, they give him a gold watch. Say, "Thank you for your service, gold watch. And by the way, start running because I'm going to start shooting you." Wonder what? I'm just doing my job. Therefore, why the Yetzer Hara at the end of life, at the end of time? Why does the Gemara say we're going to shecht him? Harei is only doing his job. Just like God appointed Raphael, the Malach Raphael, to tell Avraham Avinu that he's going to be healed from his Brit Milah, so too the Yetzer Hara is also a Malach. And therefore, since he's doing his job to get people to mess up, why at the end of time are we going to shecht him? He's only doing his job. Is that question clear?
He's going overboard.
So that's the depth of the Gemara. When the Gemara asks, "Hashochet mishumay mechayev," the shochet of the world, the Yetzer Hara, mishumay mechayev. Why is he going to be hayav mita at the end of time? Harei is only doing his job.
Because he's tzover.
Oh, look at the next source. 15. Source number 15. Arugata Bosen b'shem Baal Shem Tov says the source. Kilomar Hayetzer Hara shu shochet da'alma. Says the Yetzer Hara, he's the shochet of the world. He's the shochet da'alma. Who hayav mita? He's going to, at the end of the time, he's going to be hayav mita. Hello, who nivra l'shem kach? It says I don't understand. He was created for this. He's supposed to mess people up. V'zehu tafkido ba'olam. That was his job in this world. Lifatot et bnei adam l'davar avera. His job was in order to get people to mess up, in order to worship sin. Because therefore now the Gemara comes along and answers, why is he hayav? Why at the end of time he's going to be hayav? Why are we going to shecht him at the end of time? Mishum soveya. Because he colored the sin. He made the sin look like it wasn't a sin. If the avera is avera, and a person says, "Listen, the Yetzirah tells you tomorrow I want you to go worship idols." So I know that the Yetzirah wants me to worship idols. I have a choice in order to do or not to do it. But if he tells you go worship idols, and then it's a mitzvah to worship idols, in that case, how do I protect myself? Because he's telling me that it's a mitzvah. How do I know if he's telling me the truth or he's telling me a lie? Mishum tzoveya, that he takes the sin and he colors it. He makes it not black, he makes it white. Says the Baal Shem Tov Perush. שלא ניתנה רשות ליצר הרע כי אם לגלות לאדם שכוונתו לעבירה. The Yetzer Hara, when Hashem originally created him, his kavanah was, he's supposed to tell you that, by the way, I'm trying to get you to make a sin. But the Yetzer Hara doesn't tell us that. The Yetzer Hara tells us, I'm trying to get you to do a mitzvah. Oh, at that point, he colored the sin. He did soveya. He colored it in a way, I'll give you an example in a minute. And therefore says the Baal Shem Tov, Ki az yuchal adam litazer. A person can be careful. Listen, he's telling me to do a sin, so I know whether or not to protect myself. However, then I can protect myself in order to fight against the Yetzer Hara if he's telling me to do avera. However, it says the next paragraph, Ulam, Hayetzer Hara betafkido umarad beborei olam. Wow, the Yetzer Hara himself, he rebelled against Hashem. Hashem told him, your job is to get people to mess up on sins. And how do I do so? By telling them this is a sin. Yetzer Hara, he himself, he rebelled. He said, no Hashem, I'm going to go above and beyond. You told me to tell them it's a sin. I'm going to tell them that it's a good deed. I'm going to tell them that it's a mitzvah. Says the Baal Shem Tov, Ki כשהוא רואה שאם יבוא לפתות את האדם בגלוי עבירה, the Yetzer Hara knows that if he comes along and tells a person to do avera, the person will tell him no, Yetzer Hara will be embarrassed. ירגישו בבושות פנים, he's going to feel embarrassed. הרי הוא עורב לא להפעיל ברשותו ברמה על ידי שצובע את העבירה למצווה. He takes the עבירה and he changes it into מצווה. למשל, שמצא לדבר לשון הרע, he tells the person it's a mitzvah to speak לשון הרע. על הפלוני, או להבישו ברבים, למען ישמעו ויראו וכדומה. Person sees that his friend, he says, you know what? I'm going to speak Lashon Hara about this guy. And you know, it's a mitzvah for me to do so. Why is it a mitzvah? Because people should know who this guy really is. By the way, what you just did was avera. You had no permission to speak Lashon Hara, but you rationalized and you told yourself it's a mitzvah. People should know who he is. By the way, Yetzer Hara tricked you to do a straight up avera and he made you think it's a mitzvah in order to do so. You understand what he does? So therefore a person gets to say, you know what? He's hungry. He's in the city. And he says, listen, my doctor told me I have to keep healthy. I have to start eating more greens. He goes to the store, to the goyim by the way, and he buys a nice salad. Doctor told me to be healthy. It's a mitzvah to be more healthy. But the salad is full of bugs? Yeah, but at least he's healthy. My doctor told me it's mitzvah to be healthy. So Yetzer Hara tricked you. He got you to eat bugs, that you're over 5 malkuyot, 5 averot in each bug. Why? Because l'shem mitzvah. I'm too tired. I'm not too tired. You know what? I'm supposed to be going to night Seder tonight. I have a shiur, Rabbi speaking. It's nice. But what happened? Shalom bayit. I didn't see my wife all day, and therefore I'm going to stay home this time. That was the Yetzirah, by the way. He got you to think that it's a mitzvah. Oh, very good. He got you to think that it's a mitzvah to be with your wife night Seder instead of night Seder. He colored the Averah and he turned it into a mitzvah. That's exactly what the Yetzirah does. He gets you to do things that you think the entire time it's a mitzvah what you're doing. But the truth is, the Yetzirah says this is really 100% Averah. It's a mitzvah. Listen, the guy says it's a mitzvah. I'm going to give tzedakah to the shul. But how did you get the money to tzedakah? How did the money come to you? You cheated in business. The guy says, you're right. I know it's a problem to cheat in business, but the shul needs money, and therefore the Yetzirah got you to think that it's mutar to cheat in business. Just so what? Just so you get money for the shul to give. You know, my friend told me the other day that he has an electronics store in the city. How does he get people to come in? So you have a guy that comes in, and there's no prices on any electronics. There's no prices at all. He picks up a phone. He looks at it. He sees there's no price tag. He asks the owner. He says, "How much is this phone?" So the guy knows the phone is worth $200, but he tells his phone. He pretends as if he doesn't know. So he tells the guy in the back. He tells him, "Yo, Jack, how much is the phone, the one on display?" The guy says, "It's $500." So the guy makes pretend as if he misheard him, and he tells him, "He said it's $300." You understand what he does? The guy said from the back. He screams out. "It's $500." And he pretends as if he didn't hear him. He tells the customer what the guy said. The guy said $300. Yeah, it's $300. The customer thinks that he's getting a crazy deal because I heard him. I know I heard him say $500, but yet this guy's telling me $300. The guy can't get out of the store with the phone faster. He can't. He can't wait. He's hoping that the guy doesn't come out of the back to make sure that he doesn't get the $500 price. So he can't pay for the item faster in order to get out. But what the Yetzirah tells you, it's a mitzvah, by the way. Why it's a mitzvah? Because you'll take the proceeds and you'll donate it to the synagogue. It's a mitzvah. So what the Yetzirah really does, that he gets you to think that what you're doing is a mitzvah, when the truth is, it cannot be worse of an averah. Therefore, and by the way, this is what Yaakov Avinu, this is what he prayed for. If you look in the next source number 16, says the pasuk, Hatzileni na miad achi miad Esav. The pasuk tells me that Yaakov Avinu prayed to Hashem, please God, save me from my brother, from Esav. And the rabbis are wondering, why did Yaakov use the double language? Miad ahi, miad Esav. We know who Esav is, we know he's your brother. Why did you come along and say, my brother from Esav? The answer is, Rabotai.
Two-faced liar.
Yeah, very good. Says the Kiddushat HaLevi. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibaditchev. He tells him, Ki Yaakov Avinu yitpalel Hashem hatzilo me'Esav shu remez al Yetzirah. The Esav is the body impediment of the Yetzirah. He represented what the Yetzirah means in this world. Sheklape chutz, on the outside, hu mitchazeh kilu hu ahem. The Yetzirah, he wants you to think that you guys are brothers. He wants you to think that he's just looking out for you. He wants you to think that it's okay to go to the club, but why? Because I have to get married. Shidduchim. So he gets you to think that you're in the club for the mitzvah. I'm looking for a wife, therefore I have to be there. So no, that's how he wants you to think. Says the Kiddushat HaLevi, u'mevakesh l'sayel li b'davat Hashem. He comes to you as if he's helping you to grow in your avodat Hashem. Aval l'maaseh hu oref b'mistarim l'haflina b'rishuto. The Yetzirah is a double agent. He's working for both sides. He wants you to think that it's one thing when it's really another. He's like the guy in the mafia movie that the entire time he's got your arm around you. He calls you my friend. He calls you your buddy. And then when you're sitting in the bar with the drink in your hand, he comes behind you and he blows your brains out. This is exactly what he wants. He's the mafia guy. He's the hitman in the mafia. That's why Yaakov Avinu said, Ki yareh anochi oto, because I'm afraid of him. Why should Yaakov Avinu be afraid of Esav? He was a gibor. He was a very strong man. The answer is because Yaakov knows, if he's coming to me and he's telling me this is averah, I know how to protect myself. Because I know the definition of an averah. But he's coming to me saying, I want you to do a mitzvah. Yaakov says, I don't know what's a mitzvah. I don't know what's an averah. I'm all confused because he's making me that way. Mishum shekashe me'od litgonen neged yetzirah kazeh. It's very hard to protect yourself from this type of yetzirah. Sheba b'rima, he comes with cunningness, with slyness. Ki'ilu kavanato l'sayeya la'adam ba'avodat Hashem. He's coming as if he wants to protect you. He wants to give you tips how to become a better Jew. But the truth is, he's burying you. He's digging the hole deeper and deeper. This is exactly what the Shem Shmuel says. Look at source number 17. Shem Shmuel, Parshat Hayisara. He says, She'evi b'shem aviv hagon hakadosh baal avnei nezer. She'bei lefnei zeh machlokes b'gemara nechulin. There's machlokes in the Gemara. What does it say? Al pasuk. Vayivater Yaakov levado ve'avek ish imo ad alot hashachar. We know the story. Yaakov Avinu just escaped from Laban's house, and he's about to meet with Esav. And it's nighttime, and he remembers that he forgot a couple of pachim ketanim, a couple of old jugs, old bottles. And he goes in the middle of the night by himself. And when he's there, he meets Sasha Esav, and they began fighting. And the pasuk says that the avak of the raglaim, it raised all the way to the shamayim. Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar kigoy nidmelo. So when Yaakov was fighting against this malach, what did it look like? According to Rabbi Shmuel, he looked like a goy, like a regular Ovid Kohabim. However, Rabbi bar Ula Amar kitamit hacham nidmelo. That when this Sasha Esav, when he came to fight Yaakov, how did he look like? He looked like a tamid chacham. Now, you have a stira, because one rabbi says kigoy, one rabbi says tamid chacham. Which one is it? Is the Yetzirah goy, or is the Yetzirah tamid chacham? What's the answer, Rabotai? He's both. Exactly, he's both. Sometimes he comes at you like a goy. I want you to do this averah, and you choose whether or not to do it. But if he's coming to you dressed like a Rosh Yeshiva, he's coming to you with the frock, he's coming to you with peirot behind his ears, with a long beard and a top hat. He's telling you, I want you to do this and this. So you think, listen, the rabbi is telling me, the Rosh Yeshiva is telling me. But the truth is, that's just it's the wolf in sheepskin. That's what it is. It's the wolf in sheep. He's knocking in your door. He's saying, open the door. I'm just a poor little sheep with no place to sleep. And you tell him, no, that's the Yetzirah. You're coming to me as if you're Tamid Chacham, but the truth, and by the way, you should know, the Yetzirah, the Nahash HaKadmoni, he revealed his kavanah. Do we have a Chumash? We have a Chumash Bereshit. Do we have one over there? No. So Chumash Bereshit. In the very first page of the Bible, the Nahash HaKadmoni, he revealed his true intentions. If you turn to the very first page of the Bible, if you look over here, I'm going to find it for you. It is in Gimel Hey. So listen to this, Rabbi. Listen to this Hidush. In the Old Testament. In the Old Testament. The Nahash is trying to get Hava. Listen to this. The Nahash is trying to get Hava to eat from the tree. And he's telling her, you gotta eat. You gotta eat. But why should you eat? Says the Pasuk. This is in Perek Gimel, Pasuk Hey. Ki odea Elohim. Because God knows that once you eat from the tree, ki biyom achatem mimenu, at the day that you eat, v'nifkehu enechem v'hitem ki Elohim yodea tovara. He said on the day that God knows, the reason why God doesn't want you to eat from a tree is because He knows that the day you eat from the tree, you're going to become like God. And what's the rule? Mahu afata. That just like what God is, we have to be. Therefore, says the Nahash, Chaba, you have an opportunity of a lifetime to become like God Himself. Isn't it a mitzvah to become like God? And there were even on the very first page, on the very first couple of Perakim into Parshat Bereshit, the Nahash HaKadmoni, he showed his true colors. He said, this is the Nahash that I want, this is the Tabi Yetzirah I want to be. I want to come to the person, I want to tell him, it's a mitzvah, even though it's an Avirah. Hava, eat from the tree. Why should I eat? Because it's a mitzvah. How's it a mitzvah? Because if you eat from the tree, you're going to be like God. And there's no greater mitzvah than to be like God. Incredible. Therefore it says, this is echoed, by the way. This is echoed. Well, if you think about it, so if that's the case, Rabotai, if that's the case, so this is the tactic of the Yetzirah. We now revealed the secret of the Yetzirah. How does it get a person to sin? By coloring the mitzvah to turn it from a avirah to a mitzvah. So the question is, now that we know that he does this, how can a person protect himself? How does he do it? How does a person know whether or not he's doing a mitzvah or whether he's doing an avirah? Correct? That's $1 million question. So look at the Ageret Kala, Parshat Korach, the very next source number 18. B'zeh sha'amru. This is what the rabbis meant when they told you, Im paga becha minuval zeh. If this minuval, if this Yetzirah, if he meets you, what did we learn? Pull him to the shul, pull him to learning. What is that going to help? This avirah, this Yetzirah, shetzoveh avirah lemitzvah, that he changes the avirah, he makes it look like a mitzvah. Ha'etzah al kahi. What is the advice in order to fight him? Mashchehu lebeit haMidrash. You have to pull him to the shul. You have to make him learn. So what is that going to help? So even in shul, he's gonna mess me up. In shul, he's gonna tell me that I'm exhausted and I stayed up all night, and therefore it's a mitzvah for me to get a cup of coffee. And I'll go get a coffee, and then I'll start talking over there, and then I gotta go to the bathroom afterwards, and he's gonna tell me it's a mitzvah to take coffee because it's gonna help you learn more. The coffee's gonna help you learn more. What do I end up doing in the shul? I end up schmoozing the entire time over the cup of coffee. So how does me pulling the Yetzirah to the Beit Midrash, how is it gonna help me to overcome him? Says the Rabbi, Ageret Kala, שיבוא עמך לבית המדרש לברר אם יש מקור למצווה זו בש"ס ובפוסקים ברמב"ם שולחן ערוך. Says incredible. He says the reason why taking the Yetzer Hara to the shul in order to see whether or not it's a mitzvah or it's an averah, because when you take the Yetzer Hara to the shul and he's telling you, I want you to go to the club. Why? For shidduchim. You're going to come to the Beit Midrash. You're going to tell rabbis, my Yetzer Hara is telling me to go to the club, but he's telling me to go to the club because he wants me to meet a shidduch. Is that considered okay, or is that considered not okay? They're going to tell him, you're retarded? No, do not go to the club to meet shidduchim. He's going to tell you, rabbis, my doctor told me to eat more fruits and vegetables. Can I get a bowl of salad from a non-kosher restaurant even though it wasn't checked for bugs? They're going to tell him, no, absolutely not. That sounds ridiculous. Dear rabbis, I want to give more tzedakah. Can I cheat in business in order to give more tzedakah? No, the two don't go together. Therefore, the reason why the rabbis tell us that if this minuval, if they say that if he meets you, what's the eitzah? Moshchehu lebeit hamidrash. You have to pull him to the shul. Why? Because by pulling him to the shul, you're gonna determine whether or not this mitzvah that he's telling you to do, whether or not it's a mitzvah or whether or not it's considered an avirah. And that's what he says. You're going to ask big rabbis in the shul, Yoshe Bet Midrash, and they're going to tell him, Ki sheker ana hayetzer. Whatever the Yetzer Hara is telling you, it's considered sheker, it's considered lies. He's a two-faced liar. He's telling you on one hand that it's a mitzvah. The truth is, it's really considered an averah. Ki ein zu mitzvah el averah shetzava le mitzvah. And that's why he's going to be hayav. At the end of time, hashochet mishumay mehayev. This shochet, this Yetzer Hara, he's killing everybody. Why is it considered hayav? Why are we going to kill him? Mishum tzoveya, because he colored each and every averah. He made it look like a mitzvah. The only way in order to determine whether or not it's an averah or whether or not it's a mitzvah, pull him to the shul. Because when we get into the shul, you can ask him, dear rabbis, he's telling him to do ABC. This is ABC. Does it sound to you like a mitzvah or does it sound like a sin? They're going to tell you it's a sin, and therefore stay away from this Yetzer Hara. This is what the Gemara says in Barachot. Look at the Gemara, source number 19. Imro'eh Adam shisurin ba'im elav. If a person sees that he's suffering, he has a lot of his bills are not going right. Shalom Bayit is on the brink. Nothing's going right. What should he do? Yipashpesh b'ma'asav. He should check his dealings, what he's doing every single day. Let's say the guy, he did what's called introspection. He checked. How is he waking up in the morning? How is he interpersonal relationships? How is he with Hashem? He's checking all these things and everything is good. Says the Gemara, Pishpesh v'lo matzah. What should he do? Yitle b'bitul Torah. It must be that he's not learning enough, and therefore go learn more. Says the Gemara, Shneimar, Asher Gever, Asher Tasenu Yah, Mitordech Telamdenu. How does this answer the question? Because Rabotai, if a person was really learning enough, he would realize that his so-called mitzvot, they're really considered averot. And therefore we understand the Gemara now. When the Gemara says, Pishpesh v'lo matzah, if a guy checked and he didn't find anything, what's his sin? It must be that he's doing bitul Torah. Because if he wasn't doing bitul, if he was really learning, he would realize that his averot, his mitzvot that he thinks he's doing, are really considered averot. And therefore this is echoed in the Zohar Kadosh. Look at the Zohar in source number 20. A person who stays up at night and he learns Torah, oraita ka moda'a lehiyuvei. The Torah itself, it's going to be megaleh to him. It's going to reveal to him what he's doing that's wrong. V'lo borach dina. It's not going to come to him in a very harshful manner. Ela ki'ima do'odia libara b'mila rakich. It's like a mother that's telling his child what he's doing is wrong. When we learn Torah, we realize that a lot of things we're missing. We're missing a lot in our lives. And therefore, all the times that we thought we were doing mitzvot, all of a sudden when you sit down, you learn the book, you realize, hey, listen, turns out that I'm not doing so great. Turns out that everything that I think I'm doing mitzvot, turns out it's really considered an averah. And therefore says with this last, we'll end, Shvili Pinhas, source number 21. Kol ha'osek b'Torah b'layla. Anybody that studies Torah at night, HaKadosh Baruch Hu moshech alav chut shel chesed bayom. Hashem will put him a string of kindness on him throughout the day. Hakavana bazeh ki al af she'osek b'Torah bayom. Even if a person studies Torah throughout the day, even if he does, machnia rak et Yetzer Hara shemegaleh kevanto la'avera. Oh, he only subjugates the Yetzer Hara that comes to him when he reveals an averah like it is, like an averah. Just like when a person learns Torah throughout the day, what's the day? The day is clear. It's clear to everybody what the day is because I could see. Therefore, when a person learns Torah during the day, he only subjugates the Yetzer Hara that comes to him like it's day. Meaning he tells you that this sin is a sin. However, he's not protected from the Yetzer Hara that comes to you and it tells you this sin is a mitzvah. Therefore, how do you protect yourself from mitzvah? The avera that's really mitzvah. Exactly. Says Rabbi Friedman. He tells him, Im al kol zot b'zchut she'osek b'Torah gam balayla. Person learns Torah also at night. Shesegulato litkaber gam al yetzer hara shetzoveat avera lamitzvah. You have an extra segula that you protect yourself from the yetzer hara that colors the mitzvah, that colors the avera as if it's a mitzvah. Hot shel chesed moshech alav kol hayom. This string of kindness, of grace, will be on him the entire day. She'atzliach gam b'yom litkaber al oto yetzer hara shehofech avera lamitzvah. And therefore, what Rabbi Friedman is saying is that a person has to have recommitment. The recommitment to learn Torah also at night. Because we can learn Torah. The problem is during the day, Rabbi, people are busy. We have work, we have kids, they're not sleeping. We have to run all types of errands. So a person is not usually panui, he's not really empty during the day. However, at nighttime, when a person is free, says Rabbi Friedman that you protect yourself at night by learning Torah at night, and you protect you throughout the entire day. And that's how he explains the pasuk. If you go back to the very first pasuk that we started this whole shiur with, pasuk said, "V'chi yazid ish al re'ehu lehorgo be'orma." How does the yetzer hara, how does he get you be'orma? What's the cunningness that he uses? He uses this his spray paint. He takes out the spray paint and he colors the avera. He says, no, this is not a avera, it's really considered a mitzvah. Therefore, says Rabbi Friedman, the only way a person can protect himself from this type of yetzer is he must learn Torah at night. During the day it's nice, but you only protect yourself from that type of yetzer, from the yetzer that comes to you as if it's clear during the day. However, a person really wants to protect himself at night. Keep away machshavot ra'ot. Keep away from bad thoughts, from mishaps, having to go to the mikveh the next morning. Says Rabbi Friedman, the only way to do it is protect yourself from the Torah that you get at night, Rabotai. Therefore, that's the lesson of Parshat Mishpatim. And therefore, I bless the Kahal. Kim hayenu, v'oroch yamenu, u'behem negeh, yomam v'layla. Shabbat shalom. רבי חנניה בן הקש אומר, עשה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל לפיכך, הרבה להם תורה, מצוות שנאמר, אדוני חפש למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה.